Great day, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the Strategic Possibilities Show, where we discuss success and growth to help you launch potential in your personal and professional life. My name is Emmett Ferguson, and I am your host. Today, I'm here with Marian Yesufu, a really good friend of mine. She's a Groundlings performer, and she's performed at the UCB, the Upright Citizens Brigade, for those of you that don't know it. She's a magnificent improviser, and she's always hosting great events. And what I wanted to talk about today, Marian, was to understand, what keeps you going at producing all of these events and shows that are live and so entertaining, just to get started.
Hi, Emmett. Thank you, first of all, for having me here. Just to answer the question about what keeps me making these events, I think it boils down to I'm a people person. I'm a people person. I love the power of connection and the opportunity to meet a new person and have them feel, learn, and understand at least my perspective for a moment.
So in improv, you helped me get on a team multiple times.
Yeah.
You actually were the person that brought me onto a small team with you.
That was fun.
And your advice helped me get on another team, another professional team called Tofu, which I really appreciate. So you were very masterful at that. And at improv, connection is really important when you're connecting with other persons so that you can really bounce off each other. And you said that was an important part of what you do. In what other ways do you like to connect with others?
What I've realized is really the power of storytelling and how, whether it's through the written form or audio or through even singing, how that really can be a way of sharing with people that we don't know. And I guess breaking the walls of differences. That's what that's one of the reasons I think I love the idea of storytelling in comedy.
What do you mean by the breaking the walls of differences?
I think that a lot of times when we're our most kid-like selves, we are free and open to just connect with most people. And I tend to see that when people are at the gym, at the grocery store, when we're watching a movie, and at sometimes the amusement park, we're more open. And there's also at the same time a collective group of people that are very diverse. The marketplace, the theater, shopping, amusement parks. What does that mean? When we're forced to be amongst each other in this space, we kind of behave and listen to one another. Yet when we're isolated and with our own, we're more readily to not understand another person's perspective.
What I took from that was being out and about in the marketplace, or like just being in regular daily life events, just going through your daily life, you're able to come up with a lot of stories to connect with others. And at the same time, when you're alone, you can't really, or with just a group of people that are only like you, that you can't really get the most out of what you can learn from the world around you.
Yeah. And we live in we're global citizens, we're global citizens, and the world as we know it is consistently changing and shifting and molding. And one thing that my 70-year-old father, who is a nuclear physicist, mind you, one thing that I love about him is his welcoming of change. He's always welcoming change. And for me, like 33-year-old me, who's like less than half of his age, is like, I get uncomfortable when I have to change, right? What do you mean? I have it's a new year. Wait, I have the new job. New gym. But then there's this man who's my father who's like, bring it on, change. How can I shift this new thing? How can I take this new technology and learn it? My dad is the one that's always sharing me the new latest Nigerian song or the new latest artist or the new latest technology.
He's sharing it with you.
He's sharing it with me, and I definitely have to credit him for that, for me understanding the power of being open to change and how that equals also in a way community. Whenever I push myself outside of the box, whenever I am doing an event and I'm hosting an event, or I'm bringing in a group of people together to make a comedic event work well, it's uncomfortable. There's nothing comfortable about it, even if we like to be on stage. It's scary because you have to share with a group of people yourself. Like, you have to be vulnerable. In order for something like that to work well, you have to choose to be open and vulnerable. And,
Absolutely. And that's so interesting because they say public speaking. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it, that public speaking, a lot of people are more afraid of public speaking than death.
Yeah.
And to open yourself up on a stage in the way improvisers do, whether it's comedic, and sometimes they're even more dramatic, and they have to turn those into something hilarious. It's a very scary experience for some who are just getting started, and you've been doing it for quite a while. For those that are uncomfortable with change or adapting, what are some strategies that you use personally when you're looking at an event and you're thinking, okay, I have to do this, but there's new people, or there's a new story, or, you know, something just randomly came up. You know, what are some strategies that you might use to get over that obstacle?
I think for me, baby steps is a good way. For instance, let's say that there's a new show and it's a new concept. Just did a Woka Roundtable show, and
a Woka Roundtable?
Yeah. So my sketch group, Women of Color Anonymous, we do this monthly show called Woka Roundtable, where women of color come and we speak about a subject, and then we do funny characters about that subject, and then we invite improvisers to improv off of all of that. And for me, I was scared because I was like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work? These are a lot of different point of views and heads coming together. And for me, what I did was just go, okay, first tackle just the first thing, the topics. Okay, once you've got the topics, cool, all right, topics are good. Oh, that exists on paper. I see it, it's real, and it exists. Then move on to the next thing, characters. Check in with how many people want to actually do characters. Once you have someone say, yes, I'm doing it, or I'm with you, and you see it visibly, and someone has confirmed it, and people are usually good about like speaking their minds. They say yes to something, they usually show up. That's real. Okay, what's the next thing? Okay, now you need to get improvisers. Okay, you only need 2 or you need 3, whichever number it is. Now reach out to people and get ready to hear them say no or say yes, and feel comfortable with them saying no. We're going to hear a lot of no's. So knowing that I would hear a lot of no's allowed me to like kind of go, okay, okay, let's go to the next thing. Like, you're going to maybe ask 5-10 people.
Yeah.
They might say no. And then when you ask the 11th person, they might say no.
Absolutely.
And by the time you get to number 20, they might say no. And then maybe when you go back again, you don't even notice someone that you asked in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 says, hey, something cleared up in my schedule. I can do it. And then fast forward to 100, number 100, they say no. The point is, a lot of people say no.
Yes. And, you know, think about it when you first started. When you first started in making these events, and even in entertainment, was it difficult to get motivated again? And now you're just like steamrolling, whereas back then, there like a time when it was like, okay, I'm feeling like no one else is as motivated as I am, or anything like that?
That's a good question. I feel like it never stops being scary.
Okay, all right.
One, you just get comfortable with the fear that you're feeling. It's like when you're on stage, and if you like to perform, you hopefully never stop feeling the bubbles. You know, someone has told me they need to use a bathroom before they go on stage. Other people say that they have to they feel so much bubbles. Whatever it is that's your thing, I don't think that thing ever stops happening. I think you just get comfortable with the uncomfortableness. And
do you meditate?
Well, I don't want to say I do, like, I'm like, oh, I'm find a quiet place and blah, blah, blah. But I do intentionally shut things down where I will just go, no, like, I'm not, the world can't come in right now.
Got it.
Like, and
that could definitely be a form of meditation.
That can be a form of meditation, right?
Some people probably go shopping and they call that meditation too,
preach,
you know?
Yeah, or just being in the sauna or something, or just walking. I've found that skateboarding actually is a pretty cool, awesome form for me now.
You're a skateboarder? Skateboard?
I learned from my fiance and son. They're like, get on the skateboard. I was scared. I was like, ah!
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I did it. I
didn't know that about you.
I didn't know that about me either. I was like, I didn't know I could do that.
So is it longboarding, or is it like the tricks and all that?
Oh,
ollies?
No tricks yet. I think my son thinks that I can do tricks. He's like, you can do it. He like really like looks at me and goes, you can do it.
Wow.
And the mere fact that honestly he says that, it makes me feel like I can do it. And it's the same thought and the statement of him saying it out loud that you can ride the skateboard allowed me to go, okay, I'll do it. So I guess there's something helpful about, one, you saying to yourself that you can do something, but it also helps when you have at least one person in your corner that says you can do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, find that one person. And if that one person is just you recorded on your phone, you can do it. That's enough.
That is so funny. That's so funny. So just motivate yourself by talking in your phone if you can't find it. That's amazing. And that's a great way to get started, I think, for anyone. And when you first started in entertainment, you know, when you first started hosting these events, when was like a point where you were just like, I can do this. This is something I'm good at. This is something that makes people happy, and I'm going to keep doing this. Was there ever like a point that happened, or?
I think there was a point where I saw that this makes people happy. And there was a point where I saw that, oh, like, I'm supposed to do this. Like, this is my gift. If you believe in a higher being, like, this being gives you a gift. And you get to use it on this planet to hopefully bring together community, hopefully share love in however way you share love, hopefully to teach lessons, right? And I never want to take away the fact that both of my parents are educators, so I come from that perspective of really wanting to teach, entertain, and love, right? Mm-hmm. And so this sounds weird, but I feel like I never said that to myself, like, I can really do this. But there was like a moment where I was like, I like doing this. I'm supposed to do this. This is something that like makes me happy, and it's also something that makes other people happy.
Yeah.
And like the human part of me every day says, how are you allowed to do this? Like it's like the force, right? The good side and the bad side.
Right.
Like, honestly, you don't need someone to be mean to you in life, because like you yourself can be your worst enemy and your angel. Mm-hmm. And so you shouldn't keep bad people around you is my point, one. But also, two, like, we're so hard on ourselves. And so there's never really a point where I'm like, you are great at this. Like, it's really more like, oh, wow, you did that. Yeah.
All right, yeah, there you go. Cheering yourself on after
like,
you've done it.
Let's try this again.
There you go.
Let's try this again next time.
Do another one.
Like, it's really more like pumping myself up to, you know what I mean? Because, and then at a point, you have other people looking up to you and asking you how you do something. And for me, like, my response is always, I can teach you what I know how to do technically, but know that everything that you need to know is already inside of you.
There you go.
And they'll look at me like, what kind of Yoda shit is this? And I'm like, I'm not trying to be Yoda, but like low key, you got to listen to your own makeup, right? Your own coding.
Yeah.
Because it's in you.
Because you can tell everyone all the steps, but if they're not willing to actually take the action, take your advice, then it's only going to take them so far.
Yeah, it's like all these great people that we love. When you listen to Steven Spielberg and he talks about the art of filmmaking, he's like, you have to just pick up a camera and do it. You should also do your best to understand what the gaffer does and what the sound engineer does and what the production designer does, so you respect the art of filmmaking. Spike Lee will say you should just pick up a camera and shoot, because now there's no excuse. And the list goes on of people saying just do it. You got to do the act so that you can find your way of doing it.
Yeah, and I remember, some events that I was at with you, and you created the event, and we were only working for we're doing shows for maybe small groups of 10 people, 5 or 10 people. Yet it was still so much fun.
Heck yeah.
And I know you work at Groundlings, or you've done shows with Groundlings, and you've done shows at UCB. Can you tell me about those experiences with even larger audiences?
Yeah, that's a good question. The difference between a small audience and a large audience is more laughs.
There you go.
It's more laughs. There's something beautiful about the electric energy of a laugh and the multiplicity of it. When you hear so much laughter to me is healing. It's like medicine, right? And when we all come together and we're all creating energy of healing vibes of laughter, it just means more healing for more people, right?
Yeah.
However, the small group shouldn't take away from you as the person organizing it to still create that kind of magnitude of healing. One should, if you're truly an artist and a performer, it doesn't matter if you're performing for one person, yourself, or a million people. You should still vibrate on stage, on camera, with the same kind of intensity, right? When we are in our rooms watching alone Braveheart, we still feel the same magnitude of what these actors are doing. So how dare you on stage dim yourself when there's only one person in the audience, or if you're the only person on stage, you better bring the same kind of intensity. Same
kind of intensity.
When you touch a stage, there's a privilege to that. And when you sit your little tush as an audience member, there's a privilege to that. There's a privilege, and you guys are both saying something. We're both going to exchange something in this moment in time. And hopefully it's art healing. Healing.
I really like that metaphor that you're saying about how comedy and improv and how the laughter that comes from it is healing.
Yeah.
I really like that metaphor. It's a wonderful one. So let's go on to brainstorming, because I know you've been a part of some fabulous showcases that have been, aired with great companies like, what was it, CBS or NBC?
Yeah, CBS Showcase.
You were on a CBS Showcase, and they bring together writers, and I know you write your own content.
Yeah.
For people that are, stuck, and people that are saying, oh, I can't write, or, I know I have to write in order to make my own content. What are some of your strategies for brainstorming and helping people get over that self-made obstacle?
Yeah, I think definitely picking up a book in a library is one. We have a lot of tools available to us. Going into the library and scrolling down the greats of comedy. And then my favorite thing is things called technology and phone right in front of us, where we can literally just record what made us chuckle. We are our own ethnographers of our life. And usually with an
What's an ethnographer?
Someone that goes into a space and they record what's happening in that environment.
Got it.
Some European scientist goes into the Amazons and then records what the Amazonians do, and all those layers of it. We are our own ethnographers of our lives. And to be quite frank, you laugh at the funny things and the mundane things that happen in your life. The minuscule things, like you fumbling off of the bed because you slept on the edge of it.
Right.
Or when you were drinking milk, there's a crevice of milk stuck there and it flung into your eyebrows and it took you 10 seconds to take off the milk, and the milk dries up on your eyelashes, and then now you have to peel it off. And you can't do it with your hands because your nails are too long, so you ask your fiance to come and help you take it off, and the whole process is comedy.
That sounds like a true story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so the point is that moment can exist just in your head, or if you want to, you can write it down. You can just go, that moment when that thing happened, write it down, or you can take your phone, press record, and dictate that moment that happened, and trust in yourself that when you go back to look at it, you'll be able to create something out of it. If you call yourself a comedian, if you call yourself a writer, if you don't call yourself those things, hell, if when you wake up in the morning, you're more excited about dental hygiene, then be a dental hygienist. But like, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, I really want to write, or I really want to perform, or I really want to act, then all the little mundane things that you do, from writing it down on a Post-it note or on the back of your Edison bill, or,
back of Edison bill,
you know, or like your Giribaldi chocolate, like something pops up in your head and you're driving, you take a little pen and you're like, affidavit, hashtag fun.
Affidavit fun?
Yeah, like
okay,
hopefully
sure.
you remember what that meant
Right.
by the time you stop your car and you go, oh, okay, that was from the court papers I got, and that, yeah, it's really, oh yeah, I had to pay $250 for this and it made me very sad. And so because of that, I'm gonna write a sketch about it. People are gonna laugh about it. It was a very sad experience for me, but people laugh about it.
I thought that was such a great example of taking something that might seem mundane and turning it into something, and that's possible.
Yeah.
Like, you literally made an affidavit interesting just now for me, and a possible story plot line. So that's awesome. And you've been mentioning these great ideas that come from almost nothing, or just like all of your day-to-day activities, from, you know, getting milk splashed on an eyelash, which amazing that you could turn that into a story. So what about if everybody has like a personal story? How do you know which ones to tell versus which stories are that you shouldn't tell? Or should you tell all of them? I mean, what do you your take on that?
If we're psychopaths,
Psychopaths, okay.
we tell all the stories. If you are a human, which most of us are, you use your kind of sense and sensibility. You kind of go with the golden rule, which is like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so I believe that if you're creating a story, like, you shouldn't censor yourself at all. I think you should create what you create and just write it out, record it out, and most importantly, finish the story. If it's a 2-page story, finish it. If it's a 100-page story, finish it, and don't judge yourself for it. Because the thing is if at least you complete it, you can go back and look at it and go, oh, this is a whole piece of something.
Yes.
Right? So it completes each of the things that you start, and then use like your sense of reason and the golden rule in terms of, is this something that's going to serve myself and my greater community? Like, is this going to make people happy and laugh? Or is this going to make people happy, laugh, and be really, really hurt? Are we going to hurt a lot of people's feelings by putting this out? And oftentimes what you'll find also is that maybe just by completing something, even if it's not something that's necessarily good to you, you might go back and you might use it later when perhaps you've gotten better as a writer or as a musician or as an artist. I feel like maybe Donatello or someone drew something, right? And maybe 10 years later, they went back and then they continued and added to that piece and then made it into something brilliant.
Yes.
Because they were now better at stroking
And there's
their
even
art, right?
Yeah, and I've heard that there's definitely even incomplete pieces that you see hanging up on the walls of museums, and those are fantastic.
And they were fantastic,
Yeah.
right? So you can't go wrong in just trying.
There you go.
Like starting it, hopefully completing it, and then testing it. Because one of the saddest things is having a lot of things written or made, but you never show it to anyone.
Right.
Like if you're calling yourself an artist, a comedian, or someone that wants to share their work, if that's what you're calling yourself, then you have to showcase it. Mm-hmm. And I know that we're so protective of our work, but honestly, our work doesn't belong to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay.
it doesn't belong to us. And the reason why I say this is because if you don't create the thing that's in your head,
Right.
5 years from now, you're going to see the idea somewhere else, right?
Sure.
Because that gift will be if you believe in energy, it'll be given to someone else so that they can bring it to life. Or that person will have the courage to bring it to life. Have the courage to bring your idea to life. Don't shut down your idea, because someone else will pick it up and bring it to life and do something with it.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I really like that message of, you know, as a motivator, because some people are scared to share what they do, or they're so concerned about not putting it out there, but they really want to. Yet I think it's a good motivator for some people that at some point it might be someone else's story and they're going to put it out there anyway. And that's something that can motivate others as well. And without, you know, sharing your biggest secret or whatever, I am curious. I'm a believer that it's not just the small events that get you going, you know, it's not just one or two shows that you do that keeps you going. I think that a vision of what you really want to achieve in the long run or at the end is really a big motivator as well. That might even be the biggest motivator. And, you know, you don't have to go into detail about this. I'm just curious, you know, what sort of bigger pictures are you passionate about? Whether earlier you mentioned a showcase, you were part of a diversity showcase, so anything like that, or
Sure.
What are some bigger topics that you're passionate about?
Well, I do want to say that I don't think that I'm reinventing the wheel, and I also want to give like this quote to Oprah and to Maya Angelou when they say that when they walk into a room and it's nothing but old white men, and they're the only black woman in that room, that they come with an army of ancestors with them, that they come with so many young girls, that they come with so many aunts and grandmas, that they're not alone when they're in that space. And so when they speak for millions. I'm not reinventing the wheel, but it's something that drives me, which is,
I was going to say, I just, sorry to interrupt. I really like that, because from what I said was that there's some vision in the future, but what you're saying is that there's this force just behind you that's helping to push you. It's not, so it is not exactly a vision, but it's another way of, you know, getting that motivation, that push. And I think that's absolutely amazing too. It's that history behind you that helps you keep moving forward. Now, sorry, you were about to say something, but I really wanted to be thankful for that new perspective.
Yeah, and to add to it, Miss Winfrey says that, you know, our lot has been paid for us, right? Like someone has paid for our right to sit at the table. And for me, if I can now speak on my platform, it's to say very specifically that I stand here for the young, dark-skinned girl that is in Mumbai, India, or in Lagos, Nigeria, or in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, or in Argentina, where she doesn't see an image of herself on magazines or on television or in music videos or in books that show her as being enough. I intentionally do what I do for that girl. That's why I specifically am here. That's what keeps me motivated and moving and doing shows and doing what I do.
So that's becoming an empowering voice for younger women of color.
Yeah.
That's an awesome goal. It's a great motivation, because there's, you know, if we just think outside the United States, there's so much going on that we can become, as you said earlier, we could become blind to because of the walls that we don't recognize. And to wrap this up,
we'll wrap it up with a rap. Why?
Oh, wait.
Why? To wrap this up, we're gonna wrap it up with a rap. Why? Cause life ain't perfect, and you ain't perfect, so make a mess, put some painting on the canvas called your life. Don't trip, eat some chocolate chips.
Okay.
Don't trip.
I like that. That's great. That's great. Wow. Well, that was a fantastic wrap up, Marian. Thank you so much for being a part of my podcast and taking this time to speak with me and even share with everybody and your your strategies and the things that motivate you, because I really believe that those are things that can help motivate others and help others really create a story and brand and all of that for themselves and help them find their passions as well. So thanks again, and hey, everyone listening.
Thank you, Emmett. You can follow me at bwicf.com. Y'all stay blessed.